After the death of Prophet Muhammad, chaos engulfed Arabia in the years that followed. 3 out of his first 4 successors, Umar, Uthman, and Ali, were tragically assassinated. But why did these brutal killings occur? Who were the perpetrators? And did these men deserve such tragic ends? To fully understand why this happened, let's take a look back in history. The death of Prophet Muhammad in 632 CE was a tragic loss for his followers. Many even refused to accept that he was gone. Since Muhammad had claimed to have received divine revelations, his followers were now worried that they would no longer be guided by the divine force. More practical issues also surfaced since Muhammad had not appointed an heir to his position, nor did he have a natural heir of his own. While most of Muhammad's followers thought that the other elite members of the Islamic community should choose his successor, a smaller group believed only someone from Muhammad's family, namely his cousin and son-in-law Ali, should succeed him. This group became known as the followers of Ali, in Arabic the Shi'at Ali, or simply Shia. Eventually the Sunni majority, named for Sunnah or tradition, won out and chose Muhammad's close friend Abu Bakr to become the first caliph or leader of the Islamic community. As soon as he was appointed caliph, some Arab tribes who had only been part of the community because of Muhammad pulled out of the political coalition. This forced Abu Bakr to go to war against them to bring them into submission. He insisted that they had not just submitted to Muhammad, but to the Muslim community. By 633 AD, Abu Bakr had unified almost the entire Arabian Peninsula under his caliphate. In 634 AD, Abu Bakr died and was succeeded by Umar. At the time, the 2 major political powers in the Middle East were the Sassanid Persian or Sasanian Empire in the east and the Byzantine Empire in the west. These 2 empires had been locked in a power struggle for several centuries at this point. This had taken a toll on the people of Persia and the eastern Mediterranean. The Muslims won a decisive victory against the Byzantines at the Battle of Yarmouk in 636 AD. They also won a major victory against the Sassanians in 637 AD at the Battle of Al-Qadisiyah. By the end of the reign of Umar, the Islamic Caliphate had conquered an empire stretching across Persia, Mesopotamia, North Africa, Palestine, and Syria. During this time, the expansion of the Muslim empire was primarily political. Christians and other non-Muslim religious groups, such as Zoroastrians, Hindus, and Buddhists, were not forced to convert, and as long as they paid tribute and didn't revolt, they were allowed to live in peace for the most part. Despite Umar's early victories, his reign came to an end when he was assassinated by Abu Lulu al-Firuz, a Persian, in 644 AD. Uthman was elected successor by a council named by Umar before his death. Apparently, Uthman was selected as a compromise when the more powerful candidates cancelled each other out. He also represented the Umayyad clan. Umayyads had been staunch opponents of Muhammad during his ministry and had converted to Islam only after the conquest of Mecca in 629, near the end of Muhammad's career. Muhammad, and later Abu Bakr and Umar, tried to win the Umayyads over and incorporate them in the new order by awarding them gifts and important posts. Uthman began centralizing the power by reliance on his Umayyad relatives, to the exclusion of other Quraysh, who had enjoyed significant authority during the reign of his 2 predecessors, and the Ansar, Medinese helpers of Muhammad, who had already lost some importance after his death. He favored his own clan members for provincial governorships and issued land and financial benefits to his relatives. By around 650 AD, during the latter part of his rule, public sentiment began to shift against Uthman. His interference in the provincial affairs, that consisted of his declaration of the crown lands of Iraq as the state assets, and his demand that provincial surplus be forwarded to the caliph in Medina, brought about widespread opposition to his rule, especially from Iraq and Egypt, where majority of the conquest armies had settled. This upset a lot of people, especially those who had been living there for a long time and those who helped conquer those lands. They didn't like that important families were getting new land and that newcomers could trade their land from Arabia for land in these places. In 655, a faction of dissatisfied individuals from Egypt advanced towards Medina, the center of caliphal power. Despite this, Uthman adopted a reconciliatory approach, leading the rebels to retreat to Egypt. However, soon after, a different group besieged Uthman in his residence, and following days of sporadic clashes, he was ultimately assassinated. After Uthman's assassination, Ali was elected the fourth caliph. Rebels revolted against Ali to depose him. The two parties fought the Battle of the Camel in December 656, from which Ali emerged victorious. Ali himself was killed in 1661. At stake was not only control of Muhammad's religious and political legacy, but also a great deal of money in the form of taxes and tributes paid by the various tribes united under the banner of Islam. This combination of money and power would only grow. Within the century after Muhammad's death, his followers had built an empire that stretched from Central Asia to Spain. There are some events that led to the overthrown and eventually assassination of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. The grandchild of Prophet Muhammad, Hussein, was also killed. This will be discussed in our upcoming video. Subscribe to be alerted when we upload it.